I'm only one drink away from the devil. I'm only one call away from home.
Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy Show, formerly known as Unbandaged. We're on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Apple, and YouTube. And I didn't actually do the math, Govy. We were at 87,000 listeners, but now that Lovely gave us 4,742 Facebook and 3,134 TikTok, let's do some quick math. We're like 94,000 listeners. Today, we have a fantastic guest, Matt Lunsford, who is a friend, lives down here in Florida. He has a great place called Heal Behavior Health, and he's going to tell us about his journey. But before we get to Matt, we want to talk about a couple things that are happening. Number one, with all this violence and thievery in these department stores, the Wawas, the 7-Elevens, chaining up all the cases. You know, I'm reading this article in the New York Post, and I rip it out every time I find a nice article, that in New York, in Brooklyn, they arrested 28 guys that were Johns. You know, they were looking for hookers on the street. So now you have people robbing stores, killing people. There's murders. They just had that guy beat up that woman. She was beat. You know, what was he?
With her own cane.
With her own cane. He was arrested like 10 times, right?
Right.
But meantime, the state of New York City is spending money here to arrest 17 Johns, these guys, who even knows, maybe their wives aren't fucking them or whatever's going on. These guys are out on the street for 75 hours to meet a girl, and boom, they're getting arrested when all these criminals are getting away. It's just an unbelievable story.
It's crazy. It's crazy on where we put our priorities to get someone like, you know, who we feel that the public is safer with. Putting that guy away or letting the other guy out 10 times that can beat someone with their own cane. And the crazy thing about the guy that beat her with the cane, the person who called the police was a New York transit worker. And there were witnesses around, and nobody helped. And nobody helped her out because remember that ex-Marine that is now...
Choked the guy, yeah.
That choked the guy?
Killed the
guy.
guy.
Nobody wants to help anymore because they don't want to be...
Would you? If you saw something, would you help?
Well, you don't want to go to... You don't want to help. And
Matt,
then
would you help if you saw a woman being beat by a guy with a cane? You're a big guy. You're a muscular guy. Do you think you'd step in and take a chance?
I'd like to think I would.
Would you?
Yeah, of course.
I don't.
Would you step in if you know that another guy that did step in is now like is going to be broke? He's spending all his money trying to get lawyers to defend himself for murder. For murder.
Well, the problem is, you know, you go into the military, you're trained to kill. And now you're expected to come back to society and be a normal person. And, you know, I don't know how they separate the lines. And here this guy...
He didn't try to kill him. He just tried to subdue the guy until someone came. I mean, he didn't know that the guy was also on, you know, drugs and other stuff. He didn't try to kill him. He just tried to help, but still.
Well, we'll have Matt address that because he's an expert in that area. But, you know, it's kind of crazy because what you have here is a guy, everybody on the train has cameras. So it's not like when we grew up. Nobody has a camera. Everybody has a phone with camera on it. So it's instant, you know, seeing what's really going on. And I guess the guy just choked him a little too long.
Yeah, but it is unbelievable that the priorities of where the district attorneys, where they want to, you know, who they want to put in jail and who they don't want to put in jail.
So now, not only did they bust these Johns, and I don't know, does anybody have any idea why it's called a John, a guy that goes and seeks a hooker?
John Doe, it's just...
Oh, it's a John Doe. Okay, that makes sense. But they listed these guys' names. I'm sure all these guys now are going to lose their job. I'm sure their wives are angry if they're married or girlfriends. They're probably going to get divorced. And it's just not fair that they do this. Look, it's like when Robert Kraft went to Palm Beach. He was an 86-year-old man to get a rubbing tub in a place in Palm Beach. If you're 86 years old and you want to go get a rubbing tub, really, you're going to arrest the guy over that? Anyway, so we have a great guest today, Matt Lunsford, Heal Behavior Health, and he has just an incredible journey, and we wanted to have him on the show to talk about addictions and the great things that he's doing. He's doing a nonprofit now in addition to his centers, and why don't we get started and you give us a little introduction on your past and where you're coming from?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I was raised in Indiana. I had a great family and everything, and I chose a different path than most. I was just kind of a shithead kid. Just raising hell everywhere, giving my parents hell, getting kicked out of schools.
But you were in a upper middle class lifestyle.
I grew up on a golf course that my dad owned.
Right.
Oh wow. Okay. So upper middle class.
You're a great golfer.
I should be better, but
What's your handicap?
I didn't take
What's your
advantage
handicap?
of the childhood.
Right.
Right now I'm like a 7 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't bet against them at a 7 or 8.
I was a 4 like 3 months ago,
Yeah,
so I'm trending the wrong direction.
Right.
But yeah, I stopped golfing after like 13 and just gave my parents hell. I was a little shit, and I didn't try drugs or alcohol or anything like that till I was 18. I dropped out of high school, and I started partying. Right.
So wait. So you dropped out? Were your parents upset when you dropped out of high school? Why'd you drop out?
Yeah,
of
of
high
course.
school?
But I had been kicked out of every school. They'd sent me away to a boarding
Were
school.
you like a fighter? Or why were they kicking you out?
Just
a big.
But you weren't doing any drugs while you were getting kicked out all through school.
Disruptive.
So what was your first experience then? What made you? Who was the first person?
Well,
that
you're
said,
not planning on hitting either of us today, are you?
No, not today.
No, what
I've
was your
never
first?
been a fighter.
What was
Never
your
been a
first when
fighter.
the light bulb said, "I'm going to try this"? After all this, who was the person that said, or you don't have to say, but like what made you try your what was the first thing you did?
So shortly after I dropped out, I grew up in Muncie, Indiana, so Ball State, big party school at the time. And
Hoosiers, isn't that the Hoosiers?
No, the Cardinals.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was just a college party. I drank. I remember I sent somebody to the liquor store, and they came back with 2 bottles of Boone's Farm, an Old English 40 of malt liquor, and a pint of Skull.
You took the training wheels off, for you going right for it. That's unbelievable. You didn't even start with like a little wow,
like a beer.
That's like a gut. You grew hair with that one,
Right,
already.
and for me, it was just immediate.
Like the feeling.
Yeah, exactly, an allergy, if you will. Right, so.
Didn't throw up, didn't get sick?
It was the first time, right? Because as a kid, I was getting kicked out of school all the time, and this was the first time I felt comfortable in my own skin. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like,
that's what it does.
This is what I've been looking for.
And that's what alcohol does.
Now, Galvy's sober 3 years
Three
today.
years today.
Congratulations.
Today.
3 years
Three
today.
years today. Yeah.
But that's what it does. It gives you, that you can, if you go to a party,
Right.
sometimes people have a drink before they go to a party because it relaxes them and makes them more comfortable. That's,
And some of us, I mean, once I start, I just don't stop, right? So for me, that was my first drink. Next day, I tried weed. Day after that, I drank again and tried Coke. And then,
really,
And
I
that's
didn't
all-
stop doing Coke for a month.
And in your neighborhood, was easily accessible.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find.
Drop me off in the middle of Omaha if I want to find drugs.
Right.
I'll find them.
Right.
All right, maybe we can look around after the show.
And but yeah, and then it was just off to the races, right? I went on a month-long Coke bender. Got kicked out of my mom's house. Started selling drugs. Got arrested with a pound. At one point, and
a pound of Coke?
no weed. And
Well, how do you get out? Back in the day, how do you get out of that? I mean,
so I got on a deferral program, and I went to treatment. I went to my first treatment.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't think I had a problem.
But when you got arrested with the first one, your parents didn't have to get involved. Even though you're 18 already, they have to help you. I mean, they're sitting there saying
I'm an adult. Yeah, I was 18.
But otherwise, you're looking at some serious jail time if you're not.
Pound of pot.
Yeah. In Indiana, they take it a lot more seriously than most states. But yeah, I went to a Salvation Army treatment center for a month, and then a halfway house for a little bit. And the judge ended up dropping everything, completely off my record.
But So you're a good test case for the judge to say, "See, I was right to drop everything with you."
Yeah, but that's not where things got better for me. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
continue.
yeah, and then I get out of there and I just tried to drink and smoke weed and just like an adult manage it,
Right.
And then when I turned 21, I was living in Indianapolis and I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Started on chemo, all that kind of stuff, and pain pills.
Does that have anything to do with partying? Can you, or is that that's just in your? It's just hereditary.
And how
They can't tell you why.
And it's a personal question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. But how were you diagnosed? You weren't feeling well?
I had a lump in my right groin that
you
grew.
fell.
It blew up.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so yeah, I opiates prescribed me every kind of opiate you can imagine. Fentanyl.
You were the worst
Roxy,
case. Here it is. Here it is. You're already like experimenting, doing your stuff, and now you get this, and now they're feeding you opioids. That's like a perfect storm.
And so that was like my first real introduction to unlimited opiates and Xanax, and
they're giving
that's
it to
where
you.
I really fell in love. That was where it was just like, okay, this is the feeling I like. This and that year, I was. It was really like a drug addict's dream, because I'm like, I'm able to be as fucked up as I want to be, and not only am I allowed to be fucked up, everyone actually feels sorry for me. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, don't mind him. He just took more medicine.
Oh, here's another pill. Hey, take another pill. Take another pill.
And doctors aren't afraid to prescribe them if you boom, boom, boom.
You have lymphoma. Yeah, they're
And I
like,
wasn't worried about the diagnosis or anything. All I cared about was when's refill day? How many do I have left? Am I going to make it to refill day?
Right.
And
It's like you're stocking, just like an alcoholic. Let's see how much alcohol he has left before he has to go and buy more bottles.
Right. And then the story is the same as everyone else, right? Like, or there's athletes, a lot of people that I've talked to, college athletes in particular, like, you get prescribed painkillers. They take them off the painkillers. They're too expensive to buy on the street. So what's cheaper? Heroin. And that's one of the things I said I would never do. Heroin, crack, all that kind of, the hard drugs.
That's what everybody says, when they.
Did you do it to ultimately?
Oh, yeah. I did heroin for 6 years on and on, like trying to get off and manage it.
It's amazing.
I was always scared of stuff like anything like that. And crack wasn't around when I was younger,
Right.
Yeah, I was a Quaalude addict, but for me, they stopped making them. It saved my life.
Right. Yeah, they were great. And look, we come from an era where there was Coke, and that was like big,
Yeah,
Right.
but the Quaaludes were like, it was like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, and so that 6 years, it was just like every time, I'd go in a hospital to detox or a psych ward, and every time it was just like, okay, I'm gonna get this stuff out of my system, because the withdrawals are horrible.
What's the psych word like? Is it like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where you're like, you feel like you're the only sane guy in the entire
Pretty
place?
much, yeah. Because the way that I would go in, because I didn't have health insurance at the time, I would just go in and I would say, I'm addicted to heroin and I'm going to kill myself, and they would have to take you.
Right.
So it was like a little trick that I learned
Right.
along the way,
Right.
And you tell them you're addicted to heroin, so they give you, or help you, with the withdrawals. So I did that probably 12 or 13 times if I had to guess.
So then how old are you at this point?
This was between the age of like 22 and 27.
So 5 years of this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where are you living at the time? Are you living?
Various places, but I did end up. I had bought a house. Like I hid it for like 3 years. I was working at a restaurant, but that was kind of my MO. I would go into one of these psych ward detoxes. I would get out. I would try to manage stuff and like maybe substitute, maybe just find a doctor that was prescribing me pain pills, and then like as soon as things got unmanageable, I'd burn everything to the ground.
These psych wards, when you're in there, not the first time, but like say the second.
Why are you so interested in a psych ward?
Well, no,
this is like your third question on a psych ward guy.
because
you're planning on checking in. You gotta let me know so I take a couple weeks off here.
If you're saying, I'm trying to think, like if you're in there the first time, it's your first experience, so you don't know. But the third time that you're there, are you saying like this isn't going to work? You already know like it's not going. Like you're not. When the first time you're thinking maybe they can really do help you, but when did you say like, hey, this is like this is a Band-Aid. I'm coming in and it's not going to do anything.
So that's the like insane thoughts that go through my head, right? Or I go in with the same thought every time that if I can just get through the physical withdrawals, then I won't do it again.
So you're going in like you're going like it's going to work.
Yeah.
And they say those 3 or 5.
How many times? Like how many?
12 or 13 times. Yeah.
Like, so the 10th time you're like, I'm going to...
And the last time was actually not a psych ward. It was a jail, and I had the same conversation with myself. Not going to pick up again. I was in there for 10 days, something like that.
Is that any... If you had to say, if you're going to be easier to quit, is jail, like, easier to tell...
Yes, because you have no choice but to go through it.
So then why doesn't the country then come up with a lot of jails and say, for a lot of people that can scare them, like that TV show scares...
You can get
it's a
drugs
detox, and I'm just saying, but I mean... The thing is this, right, is when I'm doing, like, especially when I'm talking to other patients and people, like,
So wait, let's just stay on this. Because so now, your last time you're in jail, and you're detoxing. So how did Matt get his life? Now Matt is a member of plays golf where I play golf. Very affluent club, and he's a very successful guy.
9 handicapper, was a 4 just a month ago.
And so
seven.
How do we get from
I don't want to get you in trouble.
being heroin, crack, fentanyl, opioids to being a healthy guy and being a successful guy?
Yeah.
For all those people, for our 94,000 listeners,
Your inspiration. How did you do it? What was the light that you saw?
I know why I stopped doing Quaaludes. I mean, my story is real easy, but
They stopped making them.
no, I had one bad night, and the next day I woke up and I just said, that's it, it's over.
Sure. So for me, I'll tell you my low point real quick. So
let's hear it.
So I had lost.
And when you say your low point, when you're talking to people, is that something that turns them around, or you said something?
Honestly, no. So people, and I've learned this from dealing with thousands of different people that suffer from what I suffer from. I can tell them all my experience. I can give them all the great advice in the world, right? The only thing I can't teach them or give them is the willingness to actually do the action required to be sober and stay sober, right? And that's what it was for me. I had to beat my head into the ground. There wasn't anybody on the planet that could tell me, that, hey, if this is going to happen if you don't stop. I was told that I was going to die and I kept going,
Right.
Wow. I know people currently that, have serious medical issues, and they say, if you don't stop drinking,
Was there any one guy that was inspirational to you that you listened to him that said, hey, like that was or no one came in?
And to answer your question, there wasn't really, I can't really explain it. I don't know how I got where I am today other than following a few simple suggestions that were given to me, right? And
so what was the low point?
So the low point for me, I think, or the moment of realization that I was like really, really fucked, right, was I had gotten out of jail. I had lost a house. So my house, essentially, I couldn't pay it, and I needed money for drugs. So I went to my dad. My dad was pretty keen on my bullshit at this point. So he said, all right, what do you need? I said, I don't know, like $1,100, right? And he was like, all right, well, meet me in my office. You're going to sign the deed of your house over to me. And when you give me the $1,100 back, I'll sign it back, right? Needless to say, I didn't give it back to him. And so later on, the house had been cleared out. It's got fleas because I don't take care of anything, right? And I had a dog, and I was staying with some lady out in the country about, 10 miles away or something. I drove her kid's bike to hopefully find drugs with no money. Right. When I didn't and I was sick, I went to the house that I used to own, crawled in the back window, no furniture, just fleas, grabbed the shower curtain. I'm laying on the floor. I'm staring at the ceiling I wish I could die. Right.
Wow.
Too scared to kill myself. And that was the first time I ever actually prayed, because I'm not really a religious guy, especially back then. I was really not. I was anti-religious, and I was like, man,
this is where the spiritual.
This is where the
spiritual, if someone's saying to you, "This is it. This is it."
I mean, it was dark, and that was true desperation and hopelessness.
You're at the bottom.
Yeah. And at that point, I wound up at this church of all places, right? Which it was an addiction outreach thing, and I talked to somebody, and I had no idea. I had this bullshit phone room job for Apple Care that I don't even know how I kept this long, and I had health insurance through them. Had no idea that would cover me for to go to treatment out of state.
Right.
I got on the phone with somebody. They said, "Yeah, we can have you on a flight tomorrow to South Florida," and I came down, and
And that did it for you.
yeah. So, I had a slip up about 6 months after I came down here. I thought, so because I had
So
this.
you came down here, and what did you do when you came here?
So I came down. I did about. I was in treatment for somewhere around treatment and halfway for around like 5 months or something. And I got involved with a 12-step program, which I'm a huge believer in. And I actually still today believe that's the only treatment.
Is the 12-step program the same? Is that what everybody hears about with AA? Is it is that the 12 steps for everything?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ones.
Okay.
There's AA, NA.
Well, I just want to know if it's like the
CA.
10 Commandments. Is it the 12 steps or the 12 steps?
It's the same 12 steps.
Okay, that's okay.
Yep. And I did it reluctantly. I was familiar with them before. I just the thing is about the 12 steps is you have to give up control, right? So
Right.
like I didn't want to do that. I
Right.
kept always that was my delusion. Was like
What step's that, by the way?
giving up surrender. One.
No. Okay. I just want to know, like, you could do 4, and then you get to
Yeah.
that one and say,
Yeah.
okay, I got to
Yeah.
4.
So one is admitting
Okay,
that
right.
you're pretty fucked,
Right.
and that your life is not panning out so well,
Right.
But I did that, and then like 6 months in, right, I had this like revelation. All these things came because I came down here. I weighed 160 pounds. I was abscesses, just like I had no clothes, no money. Family wouldn't talk to me. It was like
You were a mess.
It was ugly, right? 6 months later, like and I still didn't see hope when I was in treatment, and they were talking about, oh, you're gonna stay in Florida now, and
Right.
and I was like, do what? I'm a high school dropout. I stole from every job I ever had. Like,
Right.
what am I gonna do here? And 6 months later, I'm getting ready to move out of halfway. I've got a great girlfriend. My parents had both come down to visit me, and I was starting to rebuild some of those relationships.
Got a little tan. You're looking good.
Got a car.
I hear the girls in
and-
there are pretty hot looking too. Is that true? A lot of girls in the halfway house.
And,
In these AA meetings, I went to a couple in the Hamptons.
they
and
call
the girls,
that 13th stepping.
All right.
Yeah.
Man, there were some good-looking girls in those AA meetings. But go ahead. I don't mean to judge.
That's where you're going to go and pick up girls
Right,
now?
right, I'm
AA
going
meetings?
after today. But go ahead.
But yeah, so all those things came back into me. That was like just beyond like comprehension, especially 6 months prior to that, So I just decided, I was like, okay, well, I guess I can do what I want now, And
Right.
and for me, that's just not how it works, right? Because like what I've learned is the difference between an alcoholic and drug addict and a non-alcoholic and drug addict is the ability to, the moment an alcoholic or drug addict puts any kind of substance into their body, they don't stop. That's what makes them an alcoholic. It's not any of the other things. I know plenty of people who can do coke on the weekends and have some drinks and their life doesn't crumble. You know what I
Right.
mean? And they're able to they can still handle responsibilities and things are
Right.
okay.
Right.
That's not me.
Right. That's a good thing to know. Look,
Yeah.
it's like some people can say, have 2 drinks a week, or something like
Right,
that.
right.
They go out on Friday night and they're like, they already had 4 drinks and it's Friday
Sure.
night. They're going to do the same thing on Saturday night.
Right.
So from that point, how'd you get into business or become a success after you got out of the 6-month stint in this Florida rehab? How do you keep your journey going to get where you are today?
Yeah, so it's been very interesting. But I ran into a guy. So when I had relapsed, right, and it wasn't so bad that I needed to go detox or any of that stuff, but it was
A little alignment, like a chiropractor. You just needed a little adjustment.
I needed to get back to get back involved with like a program, right?
Right.
So, my girlfriend suggested I go to a meeting because she didn't know exactly what was going on, but she could tell something was off, right? So she suggested it. I didn't want to go, but I ended up going anyway. I went to one that I tried to go to one specifically to not run into anybody that I knew, right? And I go there and I run into this guy that I had met at my previous treatment center. He worked there, and he's this big 6'7" guy. Played for Florida State, football player, massive, right? But he's like the sweetest guy ever. And we're talking. I think we have nothing in common, right? And like he diagnosed me very quickly, right? Because he said, "So what happened?" He's like, "Did you do any 12 steps? What'd you do?" And he was like, "Cool. How many guys did you sponsor?" Right? And it was like the answer was 0. So I did. That's kind of the basis of the 12 steps, right? Is like
sponsor someone.
Yeah, I mean that's the 12th step. So
Right.
you go through, and then like the whole point is to
Help
stop
someone
being
else.
so selfish all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because my entire life has been about me and making
Right.
myself feel a certain way, and like everything is about me, right?
Right.
So now it's my turn to actually take some of that shit from my past and turn it into an asset, an experience that I can use to help another, person struggling with addiction.
And when
or
you saw
alcoholism.
success in that, then you're thinking you just build upon that.
Well, I saw him, and his phone never stopped ringing, right, with people that he was helping, And I was like, that's pretty cool. So I was like,
Business idea. That's where.
no, it wasn't that. It was more just like, it was more so just the idea of being helpful to somebody,
Right.
Like truly just helpful, right? So that was kind of what I was missing. But it was shortly down the road. He worked in treatment, obviously, and I talked to him, and I got into like doing some outreach and stuff for the treatment center he was at, and we were at a few different centers, kind of jumping around, and then we settled on at a detox called Palm Beach Recovery Centers in West Palm that we started running, and it's been a cool journey, man. I actually opened with him and my mom. We opened a treatment center back in Indiana, so I was flying back and forth there for a little while, and then I sold it a couple years ago. We were having some issues with one of the partners up there, so we just, for me, it just always has to be client first,
And now you have centers down here.
Yeah, the Heal Behavior Health.
yeah,
What type of center is that? Heal Behavior.
So Heal is, we are a longer term treatment center. We're dual licensed, so we're able to treat mental health as well as substance abuse.
When you say long-term centers, then you have a belief that 28 days, if someone's checking in, that's very unusual for someone to be cured in 28 days.
Yeah, so I don't like to make a blanket statement
Right.
like it just doesn't work, and I'm also a firm believer for somebody whose career is based around treatment. I don't think treatment keeps anybody sober. You know what I mean? I don't care what treatment center you go to. You walk out the door. If you're not doing something, like the 12 steps, right? Like that is what gives you long-lasting sobriety. You get a lot of great tools in treatment. It gives you a lot of time of separation. There's it's a huge benefit and a huge leg up, right? And as far as like the 28-day thing, that might work for someone. It just depends, right? Like so first timers in treatment, right? I did longer than 28 days. I needed it.
What's generally your centers there?
Our minimum stay is 6 weeks, and that's after coming from 21 days in like a detox residential.
Okay,
so 6 weeks, but we've had people stay with us a year. It depends.
And you have a great success rate for.
Very. The metrics are kind of hard to judge just because people are coming from all over the country. And
Where is it located exactly?
So we're in Jupiter Farms.
Jupiter
It's
Farms.
a 6-acre ranch with 2 mansions on it, horses on property. Actually, one of our horses used to belong to Burt Reynolds.
Oh, okay, yeah, he was up there, right?
Well, the horse outlived Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
It's
Okay.
cool. We have a great trauma track for people who are suffering from trauma or first responders.
And you take them from all over the country. So if someone's
Yep.
up in north and it's the winter time and they're like almost homeless, they can maybe, if they're come on down and Jupiter Farms.
Yeah. It's we're 24 beds, so we're a smaller place, but it is a very beautiful property. Very,
And can
very
you
serene.
share the cost with us of what it would cost for somebody?
Yeah, so
mean,
we do accept private health insurance, depending on what it is. Sometimes there's out of pocket to go with it, like a blended model where some insurance plus X amount, which we can't really say until we're able to see everything in the system. But our flat out cash pay rate, which is we're about 40% cash, like just private pay. we're right around 39,000 a month. So, which is actually better than average for that type of treatment center. Like, I guess we'll use the word luxury treatment,
Like Palisades of Malibu or whatever.
Sure. So, I mean, our competitors or the other treatment centers that are in that realm are more like, I mean, there's one actually on A1A that's 96 grand a month, I think. But yeah, I mean, we're a little, we tried to keep it a little below.
And you want the people that it should cost them enough that they're like into it. Not if you said it's $30 a month, you'll end up having a person coming here for vacation.
100%.
You don't want a vacation person coming down. You want someone that's like going to be serious.
So do you feel like for somebody to be successful in beating drug addiction, is religion or spirituality an important part of it, or it doesn't play any part of it? I just hear a lot of is your environment. You have to change your friends. You have to change a lot of what you used to do in the past to get rid of your bad habits.
So what's cool about it is I don't like what I've learned throughout the journey is like anytime that I'm miserable, I'm focusing on the problem and trying to fix the problem, right? And like focusing on the solution as opposed to the problem kind of just like ceases to really be at the front of my mind anymore. But my knee-jerk reaction to everything is to focus on the problem, right? Like if my foot hurts, I'm gonna sit there and think about how bad my foot hurts, right? But you know, spirituality is what the entire thing hinges on, right? And you know, that was something I struggled with. 'Cause I got sent away to a Christian boarding school, and I had all this, you know, like preconceived notions about it and anger towards religion, and we're not really talking about religion. Religion is separate. Spirituality is it's really just coming to terms with the fact that I'm not the guy running the show here. You know what I mean? It's not me. I'm not making the world spin. I don't really have control over much other than what I'm doing right now in this.
And
moment,
you learn it wasn't
know?
about you; it was giving back. It was always about yourself when you got into the situation, and you realize when you start thinking about other people, then and helping other people, it opens you up a little bit more.
Well, you know, in addiction and alcoholism, and it's very interesting as being a disease, right? Because it's the only real disease where there is no magic pill. There's no medication you can take, right? And spirituality being a key factor in how to stay sober, and it's proven since the early 1900s that this is the only thing that works. But doctors, how do they don't know how to apply that? They can't.
I have a question for you. Like when COVID came and we came up with this vaccine, like this miracle vaccine that was supposed to stop COVID from spreading. For the amount of people that have this disease and the billions and billions, trillions probably that have been spent on all these centers, why can't we come up with a drug that helps cure you? What is it? What's it now? Methadone? Is it methadone but something that's something
or a nicotine patch for cigarettes?
Yeah, but something that's you can say this is going to take away. Right now they're coming up with Mounjaro and Ozempic to take away your hunger pains and to make you feel full. Why can't they come up with something that makes you feel
they have it? Yeah, it's not a cure. It's a Band-Aid.
To get you, maybe to get you a little bit,
So here's the problem. You got, and it's definitely moved in that direction as far as treatment, right, in general. But methadone is kind of old school. You don't see it as much anymore.
Old, yeah.
Right. But I mean, horrendous stuff. It's government heroin is what it is. I mean, it's harder to get off of than anything, right? And,
I just know that I heard that word.
It's horrible. But now the big one's Suboxone, which they have either you take it orally or they have actual month long.
Patches?
An injection, and it's like a pellet or something. It releases over the course of a month. You get another one. So, but the problem with Suboxone is it's impossible to get off. These people never come off of it. You know what I mean? It's and I call it heroin light.
Okay, but how do they act when they're on it? Do you feel like you
Do
need
you
to have
get
more?
that high?
It's
You
like
get that
you're. It's
buzz?
like you're. The way I look at it, because I've done it. I've been on it before. You know, that was when I was trying to figure it out.
I feel like you've been on everything. You're an expert. I'm not.
It's kind of like life is just like black and gray and white. You know what I mean? It kind of is just like you're sober-ish.
So the
but
people
not all
that are
the way,
living
you know
in,
what I
say,
mean?
that are living in the streets in Kensington, Philadelphia,
Right.
or on some other skid rows that you see, if the government would give them this drug, would they still walk around like zombies and like be like, or would they be, or the girl that's sitting around turning a trick for $75, would, if she was on this, would she like have more sense to say, hey, I'm not doing that, I can live?
They'd, I mean, a lot of them would probably sell it and trade it for dope, or you know what I mean, because they have street value too.
I was just saying,
So-
I would rather see them than walking around like a zombie.
So there's my daughter went to this private school in Philadelphia, very, high-end private school. And one of her best girlfriends, I'm not going to say her name, just did a little documentary. She lives in Kensington in a tent. This is an affluent girl, grew up. She does fentanyl. She does all the drugs.
She's a pretty girl. I saw the video.
And she turns 4 or 5 tricks a day. I mean, she gets in guys' cars for $75, and blows them, or oral sex or whatever she's doing, just to get the fix for the day.
And she used to be at David's house.
Yeah.
And
mean,
and she broke up. She said David said she broke up with.
Oh, well, we're not going to get into that one. All right, 94,000, listeners, but
No, we're not saying that, but we're just saying like this is how she went from being like like sort of on the prudish side to like it doesn't make a difference. It's like that's how powerful the drug is. Like
I mean,
like,
can you imagine? Here's a girl that's giving 5 different guys, and not afraid of diseases, anything. That's how powerful her addiction is.
right?
Yeah.
It's just insane. So on
By any means necessary. The next one.
So on a personal level, yourself, I'm just so curious. I mean, you're coming into this. We are podcast superstars, right? And you're coming in here. Do you say to yourself, maybe I should have a drink first, or I'm a little nervous, or when you go on a date with a super hot girl? I mean, do you ever feel like you want to fall off the wagon a little, or you have a default somewhere that you know how to get out of that mindset?
So, and I didn't even finish answering your question. It ties in with that about having to change my friend group and stuff, right? So there's something that happened along the way from doing some of these things with the steps and all that, and it kind of just honestly, and to answer that question, no. And then hanging out with old friends and stuff, like I was always concerned about that. I was like, oh no, I got to tell my friends to fuck off and I don't want to talk to them ever again. No, it's just kind of naturally I'm moving in a different direction. So I naturally will not, if I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, I'm not going to want to go hang out with a guy who's shooting heroin. You know what I mean? Or who sells drugs or whatever, right? And no, I mean, I haven't had the desire or really the thought to drink or do anything in a very long time. Like it's completely been
like
removed.
me, for instance, with me, I could be around anybody that drinks. It doesn't
100%.
It doesn't bother me
Yeah.
one bit at all, as long as I don't even miss it. And the way I stopped is basically a doctor was telling you, I was taking, I hurt my back and I was taking a leave, and I was taking like 4 leave a day, and then drinking at night, and the combination, he said to me, you're on your way, you're going to have a liver transplant. And once I said a liver transplant, he says it's not a good way to go, the quality of life. And I said, what do I need to do? He says, first thing is quit. I said, done. And he said, it's going to be easier. I said, no, it won't be. It's like I look at it like a football player that like tears his knee up on the ball field. The doctor comes over to him and says, you're never going to play football again, but you can live a normal life. I said, okay, I'll sign up for that.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like you said, I can be around it. It doesn't matter, And I've done that with like clients that have left or people that I've built relationships with over the years. Relapsed, they're at the Homing Inn or whatever crack motel, and I've been over there kicking doors in, Narcaning people. You know what I mean? Like I've seen people just injecting heroin right in front of me, and it turns my stomach. That because I think about it, and I'm like, it not only does it not sound good, it's like repulsive to think about, And I don't say that to say that I'm cured, and I will never do it again, because I can't say that, right? I just know myself. I know the past, and like for me, it starts with maybe I.
Is that a step to
What?
never to say that you'll never be cured? I mean, like, isn't that one thing? Like, you're never, because you're always have to.
It's not a step. It's just. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing to say I'll never be cured, but it's a day by day thing, right? Like I know today I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do to not pick up a drink or a drug.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I'll worry about tomorrow when I get there.
But do you have when you're an addict, do you replace that drug addiction with an addiction for gambling or an addiction for women?
I certainly have, yeah. I've tried.
So are you good at
gambling?
It's part of your DNA. You're an addict. So do you become a sex addict? Do you become a gambler? Do you do these other addictive things in your life? Do you read books like an addict?
Well, they make it easier for you, like gambling. They make it easy.
Usually when you substitute, it's not something healthy like reading books. Usually it's.
Well, I'm reading books every day now.
Yeah, sometimes it's the gym.
A lot of
that
pictures.
One's maybe like that can be a healthy one, I guess.
Right, the gym.
But it's gambling. Tried that. Did not go well for me.
No,
and they're making that easy.
And I like to think that I'm real good at gambling, but until I
Me too.
until I lose all my
What do you
money.
like on the Eagles game on Sunday?
I was good at gambling.
The Eagles
I was
game
great
on
at gambling.
Sunday,
Yeah.
right?
Chasing women, money. It's anything that's like, and
So
it goes
that's
back to that selfish stuff, right? Like,
Well, let me ask you that. That's a really good point. Great point. So now you had what made you feel good was doing drugs. Now you're very fortunate. You're successful. He's one of Donald Trump's favorite golf partners. I guess you always get him to win. When he's on your team, right?
Give me a quick Donald Trump story on the golf
But wait, let me
course.
ask real
Right.
fast. Excuse me. So, is that a replacement? You found something, having, success in your life, driving a nice car, belonging to a good club, living in a nice house. Do you think about it now and say, wow, I don't want to lose this and go back to that? I mean, is that a thought that, people have, that they say, wow, things are too good on this side of the sun. Why go on the dark side of the sun again?
yeah, listen, let's go back to when I was laying on the floor of that house with the fleas jumping all over me with the shower curtain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think about that, because I speak a lot at different, treatment centers and just around, and I think about that, and then I take a look around me at like what my life is today. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's like
Right.
it's like.
Your mom proud of you and everything? Your family and up there?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
I mean, look,
No,
you come a long way.
It's cool, and
She did business with
and
you.
I mean, and a cool Donald Trump story, which ties
Yeah,
into
let's
that.
hear
right?
it. Let's hear it. Let's go for
Well,
it.
no, I mean, when
We're
I
trying to
joined-
get him on the show, Matt. Can you get him on our show? We want to get him on. Here, you got his phone number.
Give us a
He's
golf
got-
story. Give us that
No,
story.
he's got his phone number right here on
Well,
the
just
phone.
real quick, the way that I met,
What is that? 212.
the way I met him, and this was really cool because it ties into my recovery. Right, is when I joined Trump International. I was only there for.
We're supposed to say when I joined the #1 golf course in the state of Florida and in America, Trump
Absolutely.
International.
Okay, right.
Hear that, Donald?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for correcting me on that. But no, I'd been there for a few months, and I met him in passing, and didn't think I was going to get close to the guy, because I didn't know what it was going to be like when he came back into town, and I was there, and I just asked real quickly, hey, my dad and brother are flying in next week, and they're going to play the course for the first time. Need a fourth, and he agreed. So
That's unbelievable.
And that was the cool thing, right? Because it was like 3 or 4 years prior to that, my dad was like probably in the process of writing me out of his will,
Right.
and then like to be able to do that. And it also said something about President Trump is that he didn't know who I was. I'm just some dipshit guy with tattoos that he happened to see walking in the locker room. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like, he's like, yeah, I'll take 6 hours out of my
Right,
day.
says
to
a
do
lot about who he
breakfast
is,
and-
right.
Yeah. And I mean, we met him, had breakfast, lunch, played golf, He is an absolute stand-up guy, and
Was he shocked at how good you were at golf? Like you just on
He's always said
he sees the tattoos and everything, and then
"Guy's so fucking strong."
No, he's a very optimistic guy.
Right.
I mean, he's always very
no, but you
optimistic.
turn around, you have a picture or something, and then all of a sudden you're a 7 handicap. You know.
Yeah.
It's
So for our video here, he has a Donald Trump tattoo.
So
You
the
wanna-
real quick. So the last time I played with him, just before he went back up to Jersey for the summer, we'd always talked about it because I have a tattoo of him with boxing gloves, says USA on it, and I always joked, I was like, oh yeah, because he's always signing stuff, and I was like, oh, you should sign my tattoo, I'll go get it made permanent, and he's just like, oh yeah, so lunch after we're playing golf, he pulled out a marker, I was like, we doing it? And he was like, get over here. So we're sitting there, and he signs it, we got it on video, I went to my buddy over at Water Street.
Let's see it.
Water Street Tattoo, and yep, that's his signature. So
right here.
Wow, there it is. Wow, that's great.
So yeah, he's awesome though, man, and it's a shame that the general public won't know or doesn't know what he's actually like, because of the way the media wants to portray him, But I watched the guy, because one of the other members there is a veteran, and he had a friend who was suicidal, and I got to Trump through Head Pro, and he walks right over, grabs his phone, starts talking to his buddy for about 20 minutes, telling him, encouraging him and stuff.
Right.
You'll never hear about that on the news.
No, but you get to see Joe Biden when he's at a funeral. He's looking at his watch to see how much time he has left.
He's
Just to
talking
give you
about ice cream at a school shooting or whatever.
or about his son, or
nonsense,
about this one. Wow, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Because you get to see but that's what people don't really get to know. That's behind the scenes of what he's about.
And he's never afraid to take a picture with anybody. He's always the first one
I
to
have
go
a
up to
picture with him.
somebody and congratulate. I've been there 17 years. I saw him back in his reality TV days and back, when he was running for president.
Does he know you as Cutty?
No, he doesn't. I don't even think he knows my name. He knows what I look like, But, he's always been... whenever my son, who was the former club champ, is on the range, he always comes over. Hey, kid, you're hitting it great. He's a very optimistic guy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I like when he has the Navy SEALs there or the cadets there. He brings out
Navy SEALs thing I met Caitlyn Jenner at this past year.
Oh, did
yeah, I got
you?
a great photo with Caitlyn.
Oh,
What teams does she play
How
from?
tall is she or he or whatever?
Let me tell you, I don't know, but I'm guessing
She's one of the greatest athletes of all times.
Yeah.
She's
No,
the reason why. If
so-
she played from the ladies' tee, she could probably be on the LPGA right now. Seriously.
I haven't seen her play, so I don't know. But what I know is we were coming up off the 18th tee, and we see everybody on the practice green, and then you see somebody who's like 6'6" in a pink skirt with a visor and big Oakleys on. I was like, "What? Who is that?" And I got a little closer. I was like, "That's fucking Caitlyn Jenner."
Right.
Like I can't not take a picture with her.
Right.
That is crazy.
Wow.
Well, anyway, I mean, this hour flew by.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
so
great.
much fun, Matt.
No, thank you,
We'd
guys.
love
That's
to have
great.
you back again. It's Heal Behavior Health in West Jupiter,
Yep.
and look it up. And we're on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Apple, YouTube. We're 94,000 plus listeners strong. And after everybody hears Matt's story, I think we're going to break the 100,000 mark.
Wait, I have one question. How many shots do you give Donald Trump?
We play straight up, man. Yeah.
Straight up. So he's
Hey,
that low.
Let me tell you,
he moves fast.
He can play, man. He's got a nice little move on him.
So is he like a 10 handicapper? 9?
I'd say he's probably in the 4 or 5 range.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
yeah.
Wow.
He shot like a 67 or something up there at Bedminster.
did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about shooting your age. He shoots below his age.
No, but he's I don't know what he's 76, 77. He's very agile and very quick. I mean,
For
he
his,
moves.
for his age and body type, the guy's an athletic freak.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I think he was a baseball player. Maybe as a
Tennis.
kid.
I know he played tennis.
Wow.
Yeah.
In college, I think he was.
He knows that
baseball.
course like the back of his hand, the Trump. Because I
It's
was there.
tough.
I was there when he had it looked like an impossible shot. I saw him take a shot.
5 days a week, yeah.
Yeah, he knows the greens. He knows exactly where it's like it's.
It's amazing his age. He'll go out there and play 27.
I can't do that.
No,
Can you? 27's hard in the heat.
I got a good enough match, you know.
Yeah, there you go. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for listening.
Find us on Spotify?
Yeah,
now?
we're on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Apple, YouTube. And it's health, behavior, heal behavior health. Excuse me. Heal behavior health. And Matt Lunsford, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.
From the devil, I'm only